Hello, my name is Gary, and I was raised in the Western United States, so I'm a native English speaker. I hope that you will enjoy this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
The Tale of Squirrel, Nutkin by Beatrix Potter, 1866 to 1943. This is a story of a tale that belonged to a little red squirrel named Nutkin. He had a brother named Twinkleberry, along with many cousins, and they all lived in the forest by the edge of a lake. In the middle of the lake, there's an island covered with trees and nut bushes. Among the trees stands a hollow oak tree, which is home to an owl named Old Brown. One autumn, when the nuts were ripe and the leaves on the hazel bushes were golden and green, Nutkin, Twinkleberry, and all the other little squirrels came out of the woods and down to the edge of the lake. They built small rafts out of twigs and paddled across the water to Owl Island to gather nuts. Each squirrel had a little sack, a large oar, and spread out their tail like a sail. They also brought along an offering of 3 plump mice as a gift for Old Brown and placed them on his doorstep. Then Twinkleberry and other squirrels bowed low and politely said, "Old Mr. Brown, would you kindly give us permission to gather nuts on your island?" But Nutkin was incredibly rude in his behaviour. He bounced up and down like a red cherry singing, riddle me, rot-tot-tote." A tiny little man in a bright red coat, a staff in his hand and a stone in his throat. "If you solve this riddle, I'll give you a groat." The riddle was as old as time, and Mr. Brown didn't pay any attention to Nutkin. He stubbornly shut his eyes and went to sleep. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts and sailed home in the evening. But the next morning they all returned to Owl Island. Twinkleberry and the others brought a plump mole and placed it on the stone in front of Old Brown's doorway, saying, "Mr. Brown, would you kindly grant us permission to gather more nuts?" But Nutkin, who had no manners, started dancing up and down, tickling old Mr. Brown with a nettle and singing, "Old Mr. B, riddle me, hitty-pitty within the wall, hitty-pitty outside the wall. If you touch hitty-pitty, hitty-pitty will bite you." Mr. Brown suddenly woke up and took the mole into his house. He slammed the door in Nutkin's face. Soon, a burning wisp of blue smoke from a fire-burning wood rose from the top of the tree. Nutkin peeked through the keyhole and sang, "A house full, a hole full. You can't gather a bowl full." The squirrels searched all over the island for nuts and filled their little sacks. Meanwhile, Nutkin collected oak apples, yellow and scarlet, sat on the beech stump playing marbles, and kept an eye on old Mr. Brown's door. On the third day, the squirrels woke up early and went fishing. They caught 7 plump minnows as a gift for Old Brown. They paddled across the lake and landed under a twisted chestnut tree on Owl Island. Twinkleberry and 6 other little squirrels each carried a plump minnow, but Nutkin, no manners, brought nothing at all. He ran ahead singing, "The man in the wilderness asked me, how many strawberries grow in the sea? I answered as I saw fit, as many red herrings as grow in the woods." But old Mr. Brown wasn't interested in riddles, even when the answer was given to him. On the 4th day, the squirrels brought a gift of 6 plump beetles, which were as delightful as plums in plum pudding to Old Brown. Each beetle was carefully wrapped in a broad leaf and secured with a pine needle pin. But Nutkin continued to be as rude as ever, singing, "Old Mr. B, riddle me, flower of England, fruit of Spain, coming together in the shower of rain. Put it in the bag tied with the string. If you solve this riddle, I'll give you a ring." It was ridiculous of Nutkin, since he didn't actually have a ring to give to Old Brown. The other squirrels searched the nut bushes up and down, but Nutkin picked robin's pincushions from a thorny bush and filled them with pine needle pins. On the 5th day, the squirrels brought a gift of wild honey. It was so sweet and sticky that they licked their fingers as they placed it on the stone. They had stolen it from a bumblebee nest at the very top of the hill. Meanwhile, Nutkin skipped around singing, "Hum-a-bum, buzz-buzz, hum-a-bum, buzz." As I walked over Tippletine, I saw a group of pretty pigs, some with yellow necks, some with yellow backs. They were the prettiest pigs. that ever walked over Tipplety. Old Mr. Brown rolled his eyes in disgust at Nutkin's rudeness, but he ate the honey anyway. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts. Meanwhile, Nutkin sat on a large flat rock, playing ninepins with the crabapple and green fir cones. On the sixth day, which was Saturday, the squirrels came one last time. They brought a freshly laid egg in a small rush basket as a final gift for Old Brown. Meanwhile, Nutkin ran ahead, laughing and shouting. Humpty Dumpty lies in the stream. The white blanket around his neck. 40 doctors and 40 craftsmen can't fix Humpty Dumpty. Old Mr. Brown was interested in eggs. He opened one eye and then closed it again, but he still didn't say anything. Nutkin got more and more cheeky. Old Mr. B, Old Mr. B. Hickamore, hackamore, stuck on the king's kitchen door. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't get hickamore, hackamore off the king's kitchen door. Nutkin bounced around like a ray of sunlight, but Old Brown still didn't say a word. Nutkin started again. Arthur O'Bower has broken free. He's roaring across the land, can't you see? The King of Scots, with all his might, can't stop Arthur Bower's flight. Nutkin made a whooshing sound like the wind, then took a running leap right onto Old Brown's head. Suddenly there was a flutter and a scuffle, followed by a loud squeak. The other squirrels quickly darted into the bushes. When they cautiously came back, peeking around the tree, there was Old Brown, sitting on his doorstep, perfectly still, with his eyes closed, as if nothing had happened. But Nutkin was in his waistcoat pocket. This looks like the end of the story, but it's not. Old Brown took Nutkin into his house and held him up by the tail, planning to skin him. But Nutkin pulled so hard that his tail snapped in two, and he boxed it up the stairs and escaped through the attic window. And to this day, if you see Nutkin up in the tree and ask him a riddle, he'll throw sticks at you, stomp his feet and yell, "Cut, cut, cut, curl, cut."